A common domestic argument. Parents disagreeing on how to discipline their
I am
children.
taking away your TV and video game privileges. Get to your room. I said, get to your room.
It should be easy
Get
to resolve,
to your room.
but not in this family.
Why are you always taking his side?
I'm not taking sides. I just think you're overreacting.
The tension was growing in their household, and it went over the top.
Because she was a woman pushed over the brink.
Hey, boys, please.
California, 1999.
Settle down, please.
Cora and Xavier Caro are active members of the Santa Rosa Valley community.
They were very close. They went on a lot of family vacations. They went to movies a lot. They did a lot of things together, especially going to church. They were a very religious family.
Well, we can certainly help out on Saturday, can't we, dear?
Sure we can, yeah.
Cora's a busy mom with 4 young boys under 12.
Boys.
I was going to ask if you wouldn't mind baking some of those amazing cookies of yours.
It'll be my pleasure. You let me know what else I can do, okay?
But she is always ready to lend a hand.
I'll see you on the weekend.
Anthony, thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
This was a woman we knew from classroom volunteering and from church activities. We always saw her giving high fives with her children and hugging them. She was, by all accounts, a loving mother.
Well, I'll see you in about a month.
The couple live and work together.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Baker. It's good to see you again. Oh, he's quite the taskmaster, my husband. He's got me shackled under the desk here.
I'll take the shackles off.
He is a doctor, and she's his office manager.
Bye-bye.
She deserted her nursing career and became his office manager. Her husband and sons became her whole life.
But behind the perfect facade, Cora's hiding secrets.
How can we owe so much money?
We've had a lot of expenses.
You
She's
put your
a
parents in
thief.
expense?
In just 1 year, she has siphoned off $100,000 from the medical clinic.
Babe, we need it. I'm not letting you anywhere.
He discovered that his practice was deeply in debt.
Credit cards, I've had enough.
After everything I've done for you for all these years.
He became incensed when it turned out that she was funneling money from the office accounts to her parents.
And Cora has another problem: alcohol.
She was drinking a lot. She became depressed. Her husband finally talked her into trying some antidepressants.
Cora's problems were far deeper than could be treated simply with a pill. Cora probably needed hospitalization.
Cora isn't the only one with secrets. Xavier is an adulterer.
He had an affair with a biofeedback technician who worked in his office.
Cora found out, and it crushed her.
And she has something else to fear.
She found a worksheet that he and his attorney had recently compiled, and it was a divorce attorney. And it was at that point that she realized this could happen, and this is real.
Cora's world had fallen apart. Not only was her husband leaving her, she had been replaced, in her mind, by another woman.
Thinking she is about to lose her marriage, Cora threatens to harm herself.
She was confiding to a friend on the phone that she would be better off dead, and that she was holding a gun at that moment.
Please sit down.
She believed her life was over. She was going to lose everything.
What is it?
A concerned friend goes to see Xavier.
She talked about killing herself.
She wouldn't do that. She wouldn't.
He thought that she was just being overly dramatic.
She's a drama queen, you know that.
But he was concerned, apparently, about this incident where she confided to her friend that she'd be better off dead.
Xavier tries to convince his wife to seek professional help.
Cora could not see up. She was so far down, she believed her life was over. She was going to lose everything. And she was in a black, crushing depression.
Cora has her own plans. A modern-day tragedy.
When people are in that frame of mind, they don't think correctly.
In the late 1990s, Santa Rosa Valley, California,
Cora, you cannot be serious.
Xavier and Cora Caro's marriage is falling apart.
Everything I've done for you for all these years.
She's been stealing from him. He has been having an affair. And now they're living on a razor's edge. It won't take much to push them over. November 22nd, 1999.
It was in the evening, and they had just had dinner.
What are you doing?
They were drinking margaritas, and one of their sons came downstairs.
Dad, don't you think you've had enough?
The boy mouthed off a little, and that's when a fight broke out over disciplining this boy.
I'm leaving.
Where are you going?
To the office.
However, the fight they ended up having was much more extreme than that.
No! Don't you leave me. Don't you leave me. No! Don't you leave me.
He was going to his office to cool down and to do some work.
What is it?
Why would he answer? Cora, I'm not gonna talk with you when you're drunk.
In Cora's mind, Xavier has left her forever.
She had something like 1.5 times the legally permissible amount of alcohol in her system. She also had some drugs. She became very robotic and cold.
That's what I've always admired about you, Xavier. You always know the difference between right and wrong.
She was machine-like. That gave him a chill, and he ran home.
Down, boys. Smile for me.
Cora gets her children ready for bed.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord myself to keep me safely through the night and make me.
Every night, Cora would tuck her kids in and she'd put a little Bible underneath their pillows.
She had made the decision, and she was going through the motions until the time when she could carry out the plan.
Jesus, no!
Xavier arrives home too late to stop Cora's madness.
Boys!
There was his wife with a gun by her side, bleeding from the head. She wanted to die, so she shot herself in the head, and he discovered her body.
But where are the children?
My partner and I were the first initial responders to the scene.
Deputy Tony Tutino will never forget the night he is called to the Caro's house.
We could hear him crying. He just seemed like the whole world had kind of crashed down around him.
Police quickly put the puzzle together.
She went upstairs to where the family's bedrooms were.
8-year-old Michael and 5-year-old Christopher are sound asleep.
She shot each of them by holding the gun to their heads. It was an act of revenge because she was taking the things away from her husband that he cherished the most. She then went into the room where her oldest boy was alone. He had apparently gotten up as a result of the noise, and he was sitting somewhat upright in bed. She shot him once, then she shot him again. She then turned his body over so that his face would be up to greet her husband. The tragedy just hammers you.
I think it was horrendous in the fact that 3 small children, and you see them, and they've been basically cut down in the prime of their life. You know, life had been taken away from them.
Pulling the trigger on their little heads was actually just perfunctory to the goal of getting them and herself where she felt they needed to be. And that was gone.
She had some very deep pools of insecurity and anger and all kinds of turbulent passions in her life before the killings, but came out most obviously and most explosively when she held the gun to each of her children's heads.
The only child Cora spares is baby Gabrielle.
He was in his crib, and maybe she just couldn't bring herself to do that.
Incredibly, someone else survives. Despite a horrific head wound, Cora lives to face justice.
Some people kill their children and then they make a very half-hearted suicidal gesture. That isn't the case here. She shot herself in the head. Very few people survive that.
Cora initially enters a plea of insanity, but against her lawyer's advice, withdraws it. She is convicted of the brutal slaying of her 3 sons and is sentenced to death. She currently awaits execution in a California prison.
I don't think Cora was born to kill. She's on death row for this desperate, horrible act because she was a woman pushed over the brink.
We just need a car, a credit card.
Most teenagers want a grown-up life, dreams of freedom from parental constraints.
They talked as teenage girls do, but with them, it was a bit deeper than that.
But when fantasy becomes reality,
it was adult lethality, but with child mentality.
There is no turning back.
We don't like to think that women do this sort of thing, but they can and they do.
Grapevine, Texas, in 1994.
What are you making? I'm making your daddy's favorite.
After an unlucky start in life, fortune smiles on 6-year-old Courtney Duncan in the form of her grandparents, John and Betty.
Courtney's parents had some problems, and so John and Betty adopted Courtney when she was less than a year old, and she called John and Betty Mom and Dad.
Now, here we are, just lovely and hot. There we are, Mommy.
Plucked from unfit parents, Courtney has a chance to grow up happy and safe.
Everyone described Betty as being just the sweetest person they had ever met, and she was thrilled to be a mom to Courtney.
Now, what have you been doing today?
However, the the good life is short-lived.
Okay.
John dies of cancer when Courtney is 11 years old.
She had only known he was sick. She didn't even know he was near death. She was very upset by this, wanted to discuss this with her mom, but she couldn't because her mom cried all the time.
Struggling to cope with her own grief, Betty is unable to console her daughter.
So that door to vent and to grieve and to mourn with someone who also loved that man was closed.
Her father's death is the start of Courtney's depression. And by the age of 14, she is withdrawn from the world.
Courtney, honey, it's time to get up.
There was a major change in her behavior. She dressed in the Gothic look.
Courtney, sweetheart, you can't stay in bed all day. You gotta get ready for school.
Stop telling me what to do and get out of my room.
Wearing black
Get
clothes,
out now.
black fingernail polish, and black lipstick, everything black.
She was drawn to the goth group. They could validate their philosophy, their lifestyle. Yeah, this is how life is. It's bad, it's horrible, it's depressing, it's dark, it's black. There's nothing good about it. And that reinforced Courtney's feelings.
The teen's new family isn't the nurturing influence she needs.
Courtney just sort of running around with a bad crowd, committing some petty thefts.
A little bit of drugs and not listening to her mom, saying she was going to do what she wanted to do. Rebellious would be an all-encompassing word to use about Courtney Duncan.
Hi there. Thank you very much for seeing me. Welcome.
Worried, Betty Duncan tries to intervene with counseling and antidepressants.
Why do you think you're here today, Courtney?
Courtney, honey, I'm worried about you, sweetheart. She won't get out of bed. Betty tried to do what she could. She put her in a private school. She tried to get her the help that she needed.
What I'm gonna do now, Courtney, is
Courtney, for whatever reason, wasn't willing to cooperate.
These will help to alleviate some of the worrying and confusing feelings we often have during adolescence.
Well, maybe I'd be happier if y'all left me alone.
Courtney wanted to do what she wanted to do as a teenager, and the more incorrigible she became, the more her grandmother tried to take steps to remedy that, and Courtney rebelled.
We just need a car and credit cards.
Courtney's depression bubbles to anger.
He's such scum. I hate him.
With close friend, 16-year-old Jamie Hatfield, she finds an outlet for her rage.
I wish they were both dead. And I know where my mom's guns are kept.
Courtney and Jamie were friends. They talked, as teenage girls do, about their boyfriends. But with them, it was a bit deeper than that. It was hatred.
We should shoot them both in their stupid heads.
Courtney and Jamie had both recently broken up with their boyfriends, and they weren't very happy about it.
I could do that.
There was at least a half-baked scheme to kill their boyfriends and to take off and go to Mexico.
Yeah. Get the hell out of here.
A teenage fantasy of adventure
We just need a car.
and revenge.
And after that, it's you and me, chick.
This is not normal teenage girl chatter at all.
The girls need money and guns. Courtney knows where to get her hands on both. Her mom. And that will change everything.
In Courtney's mind, it was just getting someone out of the way.
In Grapevine, Texas, 1994.
We should shoot them both in their stupid heads.
A bold plan is afoot between teenage best friends Courtney Duncan and Jamie Hatfield.
I could do that.
Courtney wanted to do something. Jamie was right there, kind of frick and frack, and they kind of boosted each other to get in trouble.
Hi, guys. I need to ask a favor, but I don't think you guys have got the guts.
The teenage rebels, jilted by their boyfriends, are planning a payback.
Want you guys to kill my mom?
Murder. Central to the plan is Courtney's 63-year-old mother, Betty.
The plan was to steal Betty Duncan's car and credit cards and money and guns and get rid of the boyfriends and then take off to Mexico.
To carry out the theft, Courtney decides to sedate her mother.
Her friend said, maybe you should give her some sleeping pills so she'll be knocked out and we can steal the car.
Courtney crushes sleeping pills into her mom's favorite, a banana milkshake. To Betty, it's a loving gesture.
Probably one of the few kind things she did for Betty, but there was an ulterior motive, and that was to drug her.
What's this? Oh, Mom.
I just wanted to tell you that I'm sorry, Mom.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. You're so kind.
For Courtney, it's her first step to freedom.
I don't feel so good.
She said that she was dizzy and felt sort of nauseated and said that she was going to go to bed. Courtney knew that Betty had the keys to the gun safe in her purse, so Courtney got in her purse and found the set of keys and opened the safe.
Courtney is armed to kill the boyfriends. Now, all she needs are her mother's car and credit cards.
She just wanted her grandmother out of the way so she could do what she wanted to do, but in her world, in her 15-year-old world, doing everything you wanted to do just meant going on a shopping spree and heading down to Mexico.
It's not working. It's taking too long. I'm just gonna
Courtney
shoot her.
complains to Jamie that the drugs are taking too long to work. Betty's life now relies on the patience of a 15-year-old girl.
Jamie would say, well, it's taken a long time, and Courtney said, yeah, it's taken too long. I think I'll just shoot her.
How are you feeling, Mom?
While Betty Duncan was in bed, Courtney actually came into the room to say goodnight.
I'll be all right, sweetheart.
Well, maybe you should just get some sleep, okay?
She says they chatted a little bit. She kissed her.
Says, "Good night, Mom." And shoots her in the head. It was adult lethality, but with child mentality. It was just brutal and cold what she did to her own mother.
She had killed her because she didn't pass out. That was her motive.
After years of unconditional love, her mother is repaid.
Chick, I did it. I killed my mom.
Courtney called Jamie and said, "Hey, Chick, I just killed my mom. I'm on my way over."
Courtney spends the night at Jamie's before their planned meeting with their boyfriends.
I don't know what to do about it.
But the next morning, Jamie's mother insists on taking Courtney home.
Jamie's mom the next morning finds Courtney there and takes Courtney back home because her plan is to speak to Betty Duncan about what's going on with Courtney. You know, she can't stay here. This is a problem.
As for you, Courtney, you see what your mom has to say.
They went inside the home, Courtney and Jamie both knowing full well what the scene was inside, and they let Doreen go through the house calling for Betty.
Betty?
Then Courtney and Jamie go into Betty's room, scream with apparent alarm. Doreen comes in and sees Betty and calls the police right away.
She said that she was at the Duncan residence and that Betty had committed suicide.
According to Detective Ben Flanagan, it was immediately evident the death is not a suicide, but a homicide.
The thing that really stuck out at that point was there was no weapon visible in the room. It would be very unlikely that she would have shot herself.
The naive teenager is no match for a trained interrogator.
Through just basic police question and interrogation methods, they eventually broke her down, and it wasn't very long before she actually gave a statement, a confession, that she had been the one that had done it.
In October 1995, Courtney Duncan is found guilty of capital murder and sentenced to 40 years. She is in a Texas prison and eligible for parole in May 2034.
To this day, Courtney says, it's not true that she was remorseless. She loved her mother. She simply has no idea why she shot her. This is baffling. This is not the kind of teenage murder that we're used to seeing. Someday, Courtney may figure out why she did what she did. But for now, she has to pay for it.
We sometimes have a hard time holding women accountable and sending them to the penitentiary. And I think it's because we don't like to think that women do this sort of thing, but they can and they do, and this young woman did.
Sometimes love is all-consuming.
Alice felt no shame. She wanted the world to know how she felt.
Sometimes it is forbidden.
That was the beginning of the real problem.
When it is both, it can be lethal.
If I can't have you, no one can.
The only way to stop the pain was to stop the source of the pain.
Late 19th century, Memphis, Tennessee. A young Alice Mitchell knows what she wants.
She was never interested in girls' games, never interested in dolls. She was very good at baseball. She was very good at climbing trees. Just the stereotypical male interests rather than female interests.
By 19, Alice discovers another typical male interest: girls. She is besotted with school friend Frida Ward.
In the era Alice lived in, there was a lot of pressure to not act the way she was acting, to not have the feelings she was having. She didn't care. Alice was a very bold woman.
Do you girls think you're in Boston? What? Have you ever heard of a Boston marriage? It's where two ladies live together like a married couple.
Really? The word lesbian wasn't used very much at that time. They looked upon them as what was called romantic friends.
Lily, stop giving them silly ideas.
Stories of the East Coast, particularly the Boston lifestyle, arouse Alice.
If they lived together in the East, they were often said to be in a Boston marriage. And that was not particularly looked down upon. There were many women couples in Boston marriages who were widely respected.
Do you like it? It's beautiful.
Alice now knows how she can keep her and her beloved Frida together forever.
From A to F.
The plan was that Alice would disguise herself as a man. She would change her name to Alvin Ward.
That way you can still call me Allie.
Alvin Ward. I like that.
And Alice would get a job disguised as a man. Frida would be a typical housewife. She would do the cooking and cleaning.
Historian Lillian Faderman says Alice knew her limited financial opportunities in 19th century Memphis.
I think that was the reason she felt that the only way she could live with her beloved is to dress as a man, to run off with her to St. Louis where nobody knew them.
But Alice and Frida have one major obstacle. Frida's family discovers their plan.
Her mother had died early. She had an older sister who was married, who sort of took the role of mother.
Where do you think you're going? I can't stay here any longer. I want to be with Alice.
And it was the older sister who discovered the relationship between Alice and Frida.
Unpack your bag.
You're not my mother. You can't tell me what to do.
I said unpack your bag. You are not to leave this house again, and I forbid you ever to see Alice.
Joe! I hate you!
When Frida's older sister, Ada, found out the elopement plan, she stopped it cold.
Hoping to suffocate the girl's love, Ada moves the family away from Memphis and Alice.
Reading them letters is only gonna make you feel worse, Allie. You need to move on with your life.
I don't want to move on with my life. I'd rather die than be without Frida.
But it is a dangerous decision.
When Frida moved away from Alice for 6 months, this didn't quell Alice's affection. It made it grow into an obsession.
When Frida's family return for a visit, she's given strict instructions.
Her older sister insisted that she have nothing more to do with Alice, that she break it off completely, and that's what she attempted to do.
But Alice is waiting.
And that was the beginning of the real problem between Alice and Frida.
What's wrong?
Can't come in, Allie. Why not? I'm sorry, but we can't see each other anymore. My family won't allow it. But I love you!
This sent Alice into the stratosphere.
Sorry. You're gonna have to forget about me, Alice.
For this besotted lover, there is no turning back.
I can't forget about you!
Once she understood that Frida would not go off with her and live with her as man and wife, she rather lost it.
If I can't have you, no one can.
Sorry.
If she couldn't have Frida, nobody would have her.
Memphis, Tennessee, 1892. 19-year-old Alice Mitchell is desperate. She is losing her beloved, Frida Ward.
Pull up, driver. She should come out soon.
Alice was suffering from so much mental anguish and mental pain at the thought of losing Frida forever, she could not tolerate it.
Frida has left town, but comes home for a visit. Alice sees an opportunity.
Alice simply could not handle the pain of not having Frida for herself.
When Frida goes for an afternoon drive in the country, Alice stalks her.
They're coming. What's happening, Allie? We're gonna follow them down to the boat.
She enlists the help of good friend,
Go, driver.
20-year-old Lily Johnson.
Lily apparently had no reason to believe that Alice was extremely upset.
This is a bad idea, Adam. We should not be following them.
If she had understood that Alice was going to do something dire, she probably wouldn't have gone herself.
Alice's problem wasn't simply Frida. Alice would have had a problem with any woman that she fell in love with that didn't love her back.
The two girls are forbidden to speak.
Alice had a possessive personality.
Did you see that? You wait here.
A crazy idea forms in Alice's mind that Frida wants to be with her, whatever the price.
She parked the buggy at a place where Lily could not see exactly what was going on.
The only way to stop the pain was to stop the source of the pain. She cut her at first. Frida broke away and tried to get away from Alice.
Leave my sister alone, you dirty dog! You'll hang for this! Frida!
And then Alice, knowing that she had only one more chance, caught up with Frida, grabbed her by the hair, pulled her head back, exposing her neck, and sliced her throat from ear to ear.
Alice is counting on a quick death, but she hasn't done a good job.
An individual who has been cut from ear to ear will not die instantly. This would be terrifying. This would be excruciating.
Alice loves Frida to death.
Alice actually said if she couldn't have Frida, then nobody would have her. I think that was why Alice killed her.
The most common motivating factor of any murder is jealousy. And this was Alice's biggest problem. Alice probably would have been dangerous to anyone she was involved with that didn't want to be with her.
Alice flees the scene but leaves an eyewitness. It is just a matter of time before she's caught.
When she was finally apprehended, when the police came to her home, she insisted that Frida was happy to die.
I loved her so.
Because they couldn't be together. That Frida loved her to the very end. she said that she was very willing to die, that she didn't want to live without Frida.
Alice has planned on being sentenced to death, but doesn't count on the thinking of the time. Her lesbian desires are seen as a mental illness, and she's declared insane.
The entire concept that Alice was insane had much more to do with the social norms of the day, that only a crazy person would fall in love with someone of the same gender. That's the way things were 110 years ago.
July 8, 1892. Alice is committed to the Tennessee State Insane Asylum. 8 years later, she dies in custody, according to some, of a broken heart.
Official cause of death, according to the insane asylum authorities, was consumption. But the rumor went around that it was suicide.
Alice felt no shame about her love for Frida. Alice was a very bold woman. She was bold before the murder. She was bold about her motives for killing Frida. She wanted the world to know how she felt.